Taking a look at the situation around the world now, there are more than 1.2 million cases globally. The death toll edging towards 70,000. More than 260,000 patients have so far recovered. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has been hospitalised after showing persistent symptoms of coronavirus. Number 10 insists the move, though, is just a precautionary step. It comes after the Queen delivered a rare address to the public, urging Britons to maintain social distancing procedures. The US Surgeon General has warned this week will be a Pearl Harbor 9/11 moment, fatality set to spike. And the growth of death tolls in Spain, France and Italy has slowed overnight, a sign Western Europe could have reached the peak of its infection curve. About 1,000 migrants have been placed in lockdown in Malta after an outbreak in a refugee camp in the country's south. And a country-by-country breakdown of cases per million people. When we look at this, we can see a huge surge. Spain, 2,797. This is cases per million, remember. Ahead of Italy, Belgium, France and Germany, so all of Western Europe represented there. USA starting to surge up that, and given a big population, of course, a big worry around the fatalities. And the fatalities per million, meanwhile, when we look at this graph, it does show still Spain just ahead of Italy, so still the two clear leaders there. Again, Western Europe well represented, and the US starting to make its way up that chart. UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson has been admitted to hospital after contracting coronavirus 10 days ago. He will undergo further testing due to what is described as persistent symptoms. Beth Rigby has more.
The Prime Minister has gone to hospital for tests. We saw him, didn't we, in that video address last week. He didn't look that well, but he's been working. He's still carried on. But 10 days after he went into self-isolation with coronavirus, he's still obviously not getting better. Last week, he still had a temperature after a week, which was why he continued to self-isolate. As I understand it, he still has persistent symptoms, he still has a high temperature, but these are purely precautionary reasons that he's gone to hospital for tests. As I understand it, this is not an emergency admission, and the decision was taken on the advice of his doctor, and he remains in charge of government, and he's still in contact with ministerial colleagues and officials. So the Prime Minister has been admitted to hospital for tests. He still has a persistent temperature 10 days after being tested positive for coronavirus. But as I understand it, this is not an emergency admission. This is a precautionary admission on the advice from his doctor. But the news here is that Boris Johnson has had to go to hospital tonight because of that coronavirus that he came down with 10 days ago.